I'm John Strohmeyer, and this is the Five Star Counsel podcast. The market for legal services is shifting, and lawyers who don't adapt will be left behind. This podcast gives you a competitive edge in today's market by sharing the client service lessons you probably didn't learn in law school or in law practice. Let's start the show. Hello, and welcome back to Five Star Counsel. This week, we're taking a look back at what we've done over the last year. When I started this podcast, I was using it as a way to get some ideas out and thinking about what service means and what it looks like for lawyers. Over the last year, the concepts have evolved as I've talked to our guests, talked about items, and really figured out some of these concepts. Sure, we've gotten a lot of great free consulting, but what does it mean and what have we learned over the last year? Let's find out. For this episode, it's not going to be just me alone. Say hi, Bobby.
Hello, I'm Bobby, the show's producer, not an attorney, just here to, chime in from the lay perspective.
Super. Bobby has been along for just about every episode, and this time we're finally bringing him out from behind the curtain. We'll probably keep him out because we've got a few new things planned where Bobby and I are going to wrap up what we've gone over in the previous 9 episodes, so every 10th episode will be Bobby and I talking through things. Rather than have that be a complete surprise, hey, we're going to get Bobby involved this time.
Yep, prepare for me to be launching questions at John.
So, if you're new to this show, this is a great place for you to get the quick overview of everything. I'm going to go at a high level through all the concepts we've talked about and how I think about client service for lawyers and other professionals. There's a lot here. We're not going to be able to go into full granularity depth on all of these issues, but we are going to touch on a lot of what is important. And really, it comes down to how things have changed since episode 1. One of the first things that's changed is how I describe this show to everybody. You may have noticed this over the past, 15 or 20 episodes. I've started describing it as, we're here to answer the question, what would the law firm built by the founders of Disney, Four Seasons, Amazon, and Zappos look like? I still don't know the exact answer, but what I want us thinking about is these are folks who have started businesses that are focused on great delivery, and I want to bring what they learned to the world of legal. Why? We as a profession aren't great at it, and so if we start thinking about it with the ideas that they had in mind, we should be able to get a better sense of what service could and should be. There's a lot of pressure on lawyers right now to up their game and get better. And so what I want us to do is think about that in context. We have our professional obligations. We also have the obligations that our clients are coming to us to, not just the obligations, but what we are obligated to deliver for our clients. What does that mean? We're not Four Seasons, we're not Disney, and we're not a restaurant. So our situation is going to be a little different. We don't want to just blindly take lessons from them. So with that in mind, what should we be doing? Well, some high-level thoughts on what we can be doing. Remember, service is how a business delivers its physical and technical components. The first thought I'm starting with is always every business sells a product, and that product is made up of 3 components. A physical component that you can pick up and touch, a technical component that is some sort of thinking or doing done by the business, and then the service component, which is how it gets delivered. Fast, slow, easy, difficult, cumbersome, whatever those adjectives and adverbs are for how the service is being delivered. Now, generally, service is going to be delivered by employees, but we're using more technology, and that's going to speed up how things get done. It's going to provide some opportunities and some pitfalls for us. But ultimately, it's coming back to human employees who are delivering our service to our clients.
We talk a lot about humanizing this tech and not totally automating everything. There's ways of going too far in both sides of the spectrum here. I've learned a lot over the last year, just being party to these conversations, and I know how John's outlook on service has evolved and shifted over the last year.
Right, and that's the thing. It's even when I started down the path of talking about these issues 3.5 years ago, when the first firm reached out and said, "How can we get better?" The way I described it then is not how I describe it now. The bones are there for what it has become, but it's a process to figure out what it is, and it's going to continue to evolve. Why? Well, there's going to be new tech, but service is ultimately going to be that combination of high tech and high touch. It's not necessarily going to be high stuff. And that's an important thing. Service is not just showering gifts and trinkets on our clients, it's taking care of their problems. We also want to make sure that we're not investing in what I call red herring products. These are things that distract us from delivering for our clients, but don't actually move the needle for our clients. In the case of a lawyer, this is going to be offering the drink menu when it doesn't help your clients, offering gifts that don't help your clients achieve the result that they came to you for.
I don't know. I go shopping for lawyers all the time, and I'm just so impressed by their omelet bars and the choice of candy laid out for me when I get there. No, that's not true. Nobody does that. Nobody does that.
No, it's adjusting to what your clients actually need and not just layering on massage services in the omelet bar because you think you need to stay ahead of some trend.
Right, and I think I always like to talk, John, about why we're even talking about service, why service should be so important to lawyers, and why that's now like the differentiator, in a very competitive market. It also affects your bottom line. I mean, this is what keeps referrals coming in and keeps clients referring and gives you those 5-star reviews that people are looking at on Google every day. Your service really does matter. It really does affect your business.
Right, and the bedside manner is important, but even at the end of the day, what we're thinking about is why are people coming here? Can we make it better and easier? Ultimately, the service we give to our clients is a reflection, and it should be the opposite, or I mean, not the opposite, but it's part and parcel with what we're doing to take care of our employees. And so, one of the other things that's developed is this concept of the three-legged stool, where
I love it.
the product that we're providing, it's based on owners of the firm, the employees, and the clients all ultimately working together. We've got to have buy-in from everybody. And we're going to have greater turnover in clients, but we still want to make sure it works for them. Anything we implement, we've got to make sure that the employees can do. We're not just setting these ridiculously high bars that force employee burnout. That's no good if we're losing employees left and right. And finally, it's got to make sense for the owners. So it's not just saying we're only going to focus on one of these three. We've got to think about everything when we're thinking about service. We've got to think about all three legs of this stool to make sure it works and to make sure it's sustainable.
Yeah, it's holistic approach. I mean, you can't focus it. It can't all be client experience. Client experience can't be the only thing you're talking about.
Right. Client experience is important. And
Sure.
there are folks who are going to focus exclusively on client experience. I think that is fine. I have no problem with that. But the way I view it, client experience is a subset of what happens in that client's total package. Why? The firm is going to do things to deliver that experience that the client will never see. The client experience is just what they're experiencing. And so if we put blinders on and we're only thinking about what they experience, we're not thinking about, well, how do we get that done on our end? So think of it as client experience is downstream of service. So service is how we create that experience. It's what we're doing to create that experience. And it may involve things that don't generate direct client experience. It may just be that there's something that we need to go back and look at and say, oh, we're doing this internally. We're sending messages in Basecamp. Clients are never going to see that, but that's how we ensure that we're delivering things quickly and easily.
All part of the same service ecosystem, and a lot of it happens behind the scenes. It doesn't all have to be client facing.
Right. Some of the terms we were using more at the front end or the initial episodes of the podcast, but less now. Just conceptually, business model, this is what a company does to make its money. And it's going to be unique for every business. So each practice, each legal practice will have its own unique client set. Why? We want to know why we go to each individual business. This is going to be different than a business framework. Now, the business framework, as I see it, is how a business implements and delivers on that business model. This features a lot of common factors among businesses. So the business model can be broad, or it's going to be unique to each business, but renting hotel rooms for money, selling things for money, performing legal services for money, performing personal injury representation to clients located in the greater Ohio area who have been injured in blah, 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 blah. You can dive down on business model as much as you want. We recommend it. Be a niche practitioner. The framework is going to include things that are common among every business. Everybody's going to have some sort of marketing and sales. You're all going to have some sort of product, and you're all going to have some sort of back-end firm administration. Those business framework issues are going to be common. And so in the hotel world, we differentiated and separated. The administration was what we called back of the house, not seen by clients. This, again, these are the things that don't directly contribute to the client's experience. So hiring and onboarding, training, management, finance and accounting, compliance, paying taxes. Clients don't really care about that admin work. They just care that the needle is being moved for them on their product or on their problem. When we come to operations, so front of the house, this is marketing, where clients are first seeing us. Sales, when we convert their interest in what we do into an actual client. And then finally, service, our technical product and our physical product. Rolling all those into our grander product of this is how we're delivering things for clients and what we're doing for them. So, again, just think of it as the business is selling a product and the customer receives some sort of experience. It's not all of it, but we start with marketing, which is just one-way communications. We move on to sales where we're interacting with that client. And then finally, we're delivering on that product. Whatever we're doing to move the needle for client. Plan the estate, adopt the child, get me out of jail, get me divorced, whatever it is that lawyers are doing to move the needle for clients.
And where does your service fit in there, John?
Right. And so service is just how we're delivering. Again, going back to these three components, the physical that you can pick up and touch, the technical component that is generally what we think about as our doing work, the brain work of we're going to know how to do something, we're going to be able to do it for you, and then finally we're going to be able to look further out and strategize based on where you are now and where you want to go. How can we make things happen for you? Ultimately, it's that forward-looking work that lawyers are paid for. The service component, this third component, for lawyers, it's important. Like, as I said, every business gets paid for its product, and that product, 100% of it is made up of varying percentages of physical components, technical components, and service components. For lawyers, we're always going to be primarily hired to move the needle on a product or a problem. That means we're primarily technical component businesses. We're not pushing over and being primarily a service-driven business. It doesn't mean that we don't care about it. It just means when you go to a service component business, this is hotels, Disney, Four Seasons, you are going there for some combination of entertainment, pampering, and fun. And this is kind of the mark of what a primarily service component business is. Those folks want to be entertained, pampered, have fun in a way that you're never going to go to your lawyer for that. It doesn't mean you don't want, you shouldn't, right. We're not going there for that, and that's okay. And so that means we've got to keep things in check. The service, the shock and awe service that Disney and Four Seasons can do, there's a place for it, But you've got to understand that if you spend $500 on fancy gifts when you're only going to make $3,000 on the representation, that doesn't make sense for you, the lawyer, but it may make sense for the Disney experience. We're just different, and we've got to accept that. So, in terms of how do we describe this? Physical components, again, amount, quality, whether or not what we're giving to them is unique. The technical component, we're starting off with just the basic knowledge. Most of the lawyers' walls around knowledge have been blown up by Google and the internet. We then move into skills. Well, anybody can do the right thing, hopefully. You can go online and find 100 YouTube videos explaining how to do anything. So this second level of how do you do it is starting to go away as well. So it's finally when we get to this level of expertise, this third level of technical component, that we're adapting particular situations to what we know, and we're making projections into the future. How do we make this better? That's where lawyers are. That's where we're going to stay as our most valuable service that we provide. It's not knowing something. It's not having the skills to do something. Look at Uber. They've obliterated the taxi market, and that's going to continue to happen. You can go online and find anybody to put together documents for you. But whether those documents are adapted to your special circumstances, that's where you want somebody who's been there and done it before. The experience and the expertise to know what's appropriate for you. Finally, turning to the service component, 3 things to think about. Who are your people? How are they delivering it? What are those adjectives there? And then finally, the third thing to think about is how consistent are you? Are you doing the same thing on Monday and Wednesday that you're doing on Thursday and Friday? We want to make sure that you're consistently delivering, because that's really the hallmark. It's not hitting a one-off and getting it right once. It's every day, in and out, getting a consistent delivery for your clients.
That's why we talk so much about systems on this show, and about the various ways that new systems that people are developing, and ones that attorneys should consider implementing into their practices, because that's how you get that consistency, is you have these systems in place.
Right. Now, if we take a step back, marketing and sales are important as well. And initially we didn't have any guests on who were focused on marketing and sales because I really wasn't sure how to fit them in the context of what we're doing. But with the focus on, well, what would the law firm look like if it had been built by the founders of Disney, Four Seasons, Amazon, and Zappos? Those are companies that all have marketing and sales departments, and they're doing things in a consistent way. And here's what it comes down to. Marketing first. This is how your business makes it easy for clients to recognize you're the expert who can solve their problem. You want them to discover you, figure out that they have a problem, they are potentially somebody who can be helped by you, and that you are the expert who can help them. So we want those marketing efforts to be as tailored as possible to make it easy for folks. So when we have marketing experts come in, we want to make sure that, the lessons you should be getting is, how are we making it easy for the right people to find us? We want to think about it, whether it's just ad copy on a website or SEO tactics. How can we make it easy for the right people to get in?
You want the right people to find you. You don't want to waste your time with people who have no business contacting you. And it is service to those people who do find you and you're the right fit. It's not just, lawyers are often averse to marketing and sales. They don't want to have anything to do with it. They think it's icky or it's beneath them or whatever. But I think there's value, and it doesn't have to be, a 4-letter word.
Right. We want to make it easy for the right people to get in and work with us. And when the wrong people show up at our doors, we also want to make sure that we're taking care of them and making it easy for them to get the right help. I get lots of calls. We get lots of calls every week of people who don't fit for the work we're doing. Primarily, it's people who think that we can go sue somebody for something. we're not just saying no thank you and sending them on their way. We're trying to find them a good fit. Ultimately, we're investing in making sure people get taken care of, even if it's not by us.
And how many 5-star reviews do we have for just doing that, John?
Enough, like
Yeah.
we'll keep asking for those because it is something that is helpful. We're
Yep.
we're making it. We want to still take care of these people, even if they're not going to pay us. But if they do, then we're starting to think about the sales process and thinking about how can we convert people? How can we make sure it's easy for them to know we want them to be clients and these are the terms that will work on you. So thinking about things like specifically the price, the terms under which will work, and then what other options are available. Not everybody is going to need full bore customized services. So how can you think about offering multiple tiers of service within what you're doing? And a few other concepts that have come along. Well, I mean,
I'm loving this one.
yeah, the value over replacement attorney. Baseball playoffs are going on as we record this, and I've been a longtime baseball fan. I've read more than I should have on baseball statistics. One of the things that comes up is the value over a replacement player, and this is something that is going to be crucial to attorneys as they think about their own marketing. What is your value over the replacement attorney? Are you providing a specialized service that people can't get elsewhere? How can you stand out? Because the more you can stand out, the more that you provide a higher level of service, the easier it is for you to stand out and say, these are the people who should be working with me. Now, if your value over replacement is low, essentially any other attorney could come in and not think too hard and not provide a better or different experience, you're putting yourself in a harder position going forward. These are attorneys, if you're indistinguishable from other attorneys in the service they provide, you're going to have a more difficult situation going forward because anybody could step in. And that anybody could be, LegalZoom, a Google form, something else that can just step in and replicate what you do. So I'm pushing for not only niching down, but also niching down in a way that you're providing additional value over just any other attorney. Long term, as you move through various stages of business, and we had a couple great early episodes with Adam Anderson and then me kind of coming back and encapsulating what I talked to Adam about on stages of business, that price premium really benefits you more the further down the line you get. Once you get to higher stages in business, you're better off. You're not fighting for tiny scraps. You're looking for bigger dollar clients. As we start kind of closing in on what are we thinking about, the last concept that really came about over the last year is the concept of red herring products. And I'd mentioned this earlier, but really these are things that a business doesn't sell to its customers, but the business may be spending money and time on and providing to customers. So for technical component businesses like lawyers and doctors, these red herring products are going to be anything that doesn't move the needle for the client. The client has come to you with a problem. They want you to move the needle on that problem. Well, if you're giving them something that doesn't move the needle on that problem, that's a red herring product. So for me as an estate planner, if I gave my clients a set of AirPods, like, congratulations, I'm going to give you a set of AirPods for signing up with me, that doesn't move the needle on getting their estate plan. You could come up with, well, we're going to make sure that they can hear us during meetings, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you could wind that tail and come up with a reason on how they actually, it will help the clients if they have better audio fidelity. The reality is it won't. And so I want you to be looking for, well, what's the distraction? What's not actually helping the client? And it doesn't mean you don't occasionally do nice things for clients. I mean, one of our clients just had a child who just reached 18, and so we're doing something that helps the client. Sure, we sent the daughter, happy birthday cookies, but we're helping the clients by putting in place documents for their now 18-year-old. Conceptually, that child is still a child. Legally, that child is an adult who has no documents in place. And
Mhm.
so if something happens, the parents can't call up the school and make medical decisions. Why? She's 18. So we're helping avoid a different mess for them. That's part of what we're doing. And that's not a red herring when we give them, include those documents for the client.
Yeah, and John, we often talk about not operating your law firm like it's 1984. That's not how things need to operate anymore. And in so many ways, the legal industry feels trapped in these old school mentalities of how you need to operate. You talk about this a lot, and I think it's important for us to help break people out of that and break away from that mindset.
Right. Ultimately, I think lawyers have some fear about being overtaken, being replaced at any time. And I
Mhm.
get that. What I want people to remember is we provide great services to people that are in demand. The need for lawyers is not going away. I don't want you to think that the robots are coming over the hill to swallow us all whole. I also don't want you to be worried about being a legal disruptor just because you see so many people being disruptive and you think that's the only way that you can survive. No, there are plenty of businesses that are not going away that aren't going to be disrupted. For me as the estate planner, people are still going to pass, and so the legal the legal structures around uh, people are still going to pass. And so ultimately, we're going to be looking at the structures may change, the laws may change, but that fundamental need to ensure that there's not a mess when somebody dies, that's not going away. So we're looking at it as a way of staying engaged in something that, look, we're sticking with a we're sticking in an industry that's not ultimately going anywhere, but we've got to adapt to where our clients are. And we don't want to be relying on, again, like you said, that the 1984 mentality of we've got to beat them over the head with these expensive gifts because that's all they want. They don't. They want their problem solved. And we're trying to figure out how to do it in a way that respects them and respects us and respects our employees. Finally, just again, summing it all up, the business sells a lot of things to clients. As a lawyer, we're going to start with marketing. This is how we are initially providing information to our clients. The red herring, the distraction here would be any sort of gifts or swag that we're giving to potential clients of like, look at this stuff. When I think about this, when I think about all red herrings, it comes from a mentality of, well, I've gone to a restaurant or Disney and they've given me something for free. And that's right, they do occasionally do that. Those free items generally are cheap and easy to produce for Disney or the restaurant or the hotel. These aren't huge expenditures. And I want you thinking about it in the same way. Like the next time you go and you think you've gotten something over the top or for free, like, oh my gosh, the hotel upgraded me. I would have paid $250 per night for my room, but instead I got the $700 a night room for nothing. The hotel had that room anyway. They didn't really give you anything extra. And so just kind of conceptualizing what did it actually cost to produce this will help you categorize what you're getting. I mean, it's easy, cheap marketing for the hotel to give you an upgrade. Heck, I gave lots of people upgrades that they, didn't quote deserve, but it made them happy and we had the rooms. And so sometimes you just do that as a nicety. Sometimes when we're doing work for our clients, we're tossing in extra documents or
Right.
extra little things we wouldn't have otherwise. But that's to make it faster and easier for people.
Yeah, you'll update their beneficiary list or something like this. Something that's really easy, relatively easy for you to do. That is a nice touch, but that's also related to why they were there in the first place.
Right.
All these gifts and things that you're talking about. Those customers are there for delight and fun and
Hmm.
entertainment, and they're delivering just a little bit more of that. You as an attorney don't need to be delivering something that has nothing to do. You don't need AirPods.
Right.
Your clients aren't there for AirPods. They're there to get the problem solved. And if
Right.
you do a little bit extra in solving their problem, great.
Right. Looking then, sales, we're trying to make it as easy as possible to get people on board. Where you can go astray, offering discounts, incentives, thinking back to when banks used to offer the free toaster oven if you opened an account. Putting it in our framework, people are going to banks to move the needle on, I need to store all this money somewhere safe and maybe get a little bit of interest back. Having a toaster doesn't change that equation. All it does is treat the bank as, well, I needed a toaster anyway, I might as well go to First National Bank and Trust of wherever. If you didn't need the toaster, well, could I have a 1/10 of a point bump on my interest rate? They probably say, who knows? So that's all things to think about before somebody becomes a client. After the client, remember, your law firm business is selling a product. That product is legal services meant to move the needle on a particular problem. And that product ultimately is made up of 3 different components. The physical component, so your offices, your paper, what it looks like to interact with your firm. The red herrings, this is going to be anything you could give to them that's a distraction and doesn't help. So the omelet menu is my favorite because, eventually we're going to see law firms really need to up their food game to lure people in. And it's just going to be a distraction. Like if you're competing based on omelets, are you really even a lawyer anymore? Or are you competing with, IHOP and every other place that could serve them an omelet? When we come to technical components, these are the services we're providing. And again, when the services are not moving the needle, should you be doing them? Is it something that doesn't make sense? So the kind of, obviously wrong answer for lawyers, offering massages probably isn't going to work for most of our practices. Now, there's probably a case for certain PI firms where maybe you do want that massage, or maybe certain divorce firms. Once you're done, maybe you're offering the massage to the client. But the point is always, these are expensive investments. And will the client really want that from you instead of their normal masseuse? Because you're taking the $100 it costs for that massage out of the price they're paying. So if you're going to use the client's money to buy something for them, you have an obligation to make sure you're spending their money well. Don't just waste it on something you think is correct. Finally, the service red herrings. These are where we're looking at the delivery. Is it helping? The fact that we could deliver it poolside, it's hard. With electronic delivery of documents, obviously, we're able to meet clients wherever they are. I was meeting a client this morning by Zoom. They are in a different country. They could have been poolside. But thinking about, drink delivery poolside, what are you doing that's over the top that doesn't actually help? Again, it'll be different for everybody, but we want to think about it in the context of what are we doing for our clients? Does it actually help them move the needle? So to sum up, and we've only been summing up for the last 20 minutes or so.
Service this whole episode is just a summary, John. We're just trying to wrap up the crux of the show here.
The crux of the show. Well, we're going to keep looking to figure out, what does that law firm built by the founders of Disney, Four Seasons, Apple, and Zappos look like? I don't know. Come along. Let's find out.
The journey's the point, John.
The journey is the point. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for listening. You can find more info on us and get your free white paper on client service at fivestarcounsel.com. You can get in touch with me at john@fivestarcounsel.com. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe wherever fine podcasts are found and leave us a review wherever you can.